Welcome back to the Raventape Drive-in. I'm your host, Mr. Raventape, and we're back with Constantine, the Hellblazer, of course. Unfortunately, like I've said before, this is a movie tie-in game. We're off to Papa Midnight's. Now, he makes a small appearance in the movie. He was a big part of the comics. They sort of had this... Hold on, I'll get back to you.
Hennessy's dead.
This is a blow. Can't quite say unexpected. Death never is an hour calling, but it is a blow.
Vengeance will come. Right now, Beeman, I need you to focus. The cop who arrested me had the same mark that we saw in Thomas L. Ryu's apartment.
Someone is playing games with you, Constantine.
No. Someone is messing with me. Someone from hell. And they are very eager to get their hands on her.
Her? The cop? Angela. It's interesting. Ideas?
Always. Next to her mark there was text. Corinthians 17:1.
I'm not familiar with it.
You got your Hell Bible within reach?
Always?
I'll wait.
Here. Corinthians 17:01. The sins of the father would only be exceeded by the sins of the son. Does that mean anything?
Means I'll have to call you back, Beeman. I've got to see Papa Midnight.
So, as I was going to say was that Papa Midnight and Constantine have this love-hate relationship in the comics. More of a rivalry. I think Papa Midnight practiced more magics that were malevolent. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly. And of course, they would step on Constantine's toes because
I guess this isn't
if
gonna be a
you
walk in the
think
park.
about it, Constantine is sort of chaotic neutral. He doesn't want the world to end, but at the same time, I don't think he would mind either. Because, like, Constantine is far from a hero, being a hero. He's not, he'd rather be left alone, you know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't for the fact that he had practiced these things and the incident in Newcastle and all that, I don't think he would ever be involved in any of it. But it's the way the cards are dealt, you know? He chose to get involved when he was younger, and he now, as he's gotten older, he pays for it. One thing I was actually amazed to find, because I went looking through my comic book collection, not that it's big, I've converted a lot of my collection to digital now. I know that's a don't, you shouldn't do that, you should keep, you know, the physical copies of comics, but I like to take them with me, and I don't want to have a brick on my back, so I've converted a lot of them to digital. I still have some here and there, others I've passed on to friends and family, but for the most part, yeah, and they take up a lot of room too. I've got not a lot of room, but the ones I do hang on to are the ones that are special to me, and the one I found the other day going through my collection was very special to me, which is I think it's the 300th issue of Hellblazer, which was the final issue of Hellblazer. I think it was that, yeah. I know it's in plastic, it's just the final issue, but I don't know the actual number. I'll have to double check that, but I think it is the 300th. Which kind of sucks, because I like characters that are not your normal superhero, you know? It's always fun to explore when characters aren't like they get bit by a radioactive spider or have the death of their parents, so they become billionaires and become, you know.
Didn't get enough the first time, huh?
I kind of, I've always liked comic books that
Take a number.
bend that, well, not bend that reality, but have like this world of superheroes, right? But they're just human. That's why I like Constantine, the Punisher, people like that, who make a point of being, who know that this world has got, if you want to look at Constantine, you got Superman, you got Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg, the Martian Manhunter, and all them. I know I just probably named off a lot of the Justice League, and true comic book fans probably could name off more below the tiers, but I only know the popular ones. I never really got into DC comics, except for Vertigo comics. We got even like, I think Killshot came out of Vertigo, didn't they? I think so. But then, like you said, with the Punisher, he's got the whole world with the Avengers and Spider-Man and Daredevil, who got these powers. Well, not so much Daredevil. Daredevil's just got super sense. He can. He's a blind superhero that can still see. I guess you'd call that a power. I'm not too sure, but you like I said, you got the Punisher, who happens to be just extremely fit. He doesn't have any powers. He actually,
Gunshots.
the one thing he has over the superheroes is that he's got backup plans. If one plan doesn't work, he's always got a backup. Unless you read the Punisher Kills the Marvel Universe comic, which is brilliant. I love that comic. It opens with the Avengers fighting. I can't remember the villain, but they're fighting in their aircraft or air hangar or whatever you want it is. Comes crashing down into Central Park, New York, where Frank's family is being, like, if you know anything about his origins, which is basically what made him into the man he was that his family witnessed a gang murder in the middle of the park, and the mobsters turned on him. He was meant to die, but he came back. Well, he wasn't resurrected, but he survived his wounds and decided to bring a one-man war to New York City. Anyway, the aircraft comes crashing down into New York's Central Park, and that's where his family was buried, and it happens to land and just completely mash up, like destroy their grave sites, which I don't know why
Open
the grave
skylight.
sites would be in Central Park, but who knows, right? So, he of course comes to Central Park thinking he can help, but then when he realizes what has happened, it's like a switch goes off in his head. He instantly realizes that this world would be better without superheroes. And as I think it's Captain America or Cyclops come up to him and say, "Oh, sorry, mate. You know, we'll fix it up like it's brand new." And Frank just turns around, or the Punisher just turns around and shoots him in the face. And that becomes his one-man war on. He then just focuses his one-man war on superheroes. It's awesome. I really enjoy it. Another really good highlight from the Punisher comics is I can't remember the story, but it definitely came out of the Max imprint with Garth Ennis writing, which was this guy, he digs up Frank's family's gravesite and decides to take a piss on him and films it and puts it up on the news. Frank, once again, that switch just goes off in his head, and instead of doing what he does best, finding out who the villain of the story is and removing them, like going up the ladder and then eventually removing the villain of the story permanently, he just goes cold, which is weird to say about the Punisher, but he just goes cold and decides to just run rampant across everyone, not taking no prisoners, and realizing he had to amp up his wall to make a point. which is a very interesting point. There's a couple of panels at the height of his rage where these two kids, are thinking of robbing someone, and they talk about the Punisher and the rampage that he's doing, and they get, like, one guy starts out going, "Nah, it's no problem, to the point where he just have this exchange and realize, oh shit, he's just there's no limit to his anger now, and it's time to go, sort of thing. So they literally scare themselves out of whatever they're doing. I think it was like a B&E or a theft or something like that, and they just run, and it's completely quiet, empty streets, because everybody who's done some sort of bad thing knows that what has happened has literally just it's basically what would happen if the Punisher snapped. Now, he's always on the edge of that, but his pure anger in that comic, that single story, is thankfully well written, thanks to Garth Ennis, but he just snaps, and it sort of shows what it would be like if Frank Castle was given free reign, if that makes sense. Like, he's usually very controlled and he picks his targets very well, but in this comic, it was just, he wasn't picking, he was just removing the issue. And in that same comic, there's a part where he just talks about how he just doesn't feel anything doing what he's doing at the moment, and in all the chaos of it all, he's sitting there, I think it's on a police car or something like that, and I think for the most part it's a dream. Like, he's just, in his dream, he's laid waste to the entire criminal underworld in New York, and he's sitting there on a police car with his assault rifle, and his wife and two kids appear and sort of tell him that the war's not going to end, it's not going to change, and it's not going to bring us back, no matter how much he fights. And that sort of refocuses him to find who did what. Yeah, I'm sorry, I went on a big rant about the Punisher. I'm a huge Punisher fan, more so than Constantine, or Hellblazer, but I enjoy both of them very much so. Hellblazer, for me, was a lot more meatier to get through, because there's a lot you have to keep track, especially in multi-act comics. So it's like one comic, when it was printed in a single issue, would be Act 1, then Act 2 and Act 3 and so forth. And yes, I know I'm running around, I am totally lost at the moment. Anyway, there was a lot to go through, because the original Hellblazer comics came out at a time when so there's a practice now, I assume, with most comics. I haven't read any of the newer comics. That's a whole other argument now.
That doesn't look very safe.
That's a whole other conversation that I don't want to get into. But the original Hellblazer comics came out at a time when the practice was say more, show less. So it could be a single panel of Constantine maybe just sitting there having a beer and a smoke, and just constant, just like thought bubbles all around him. Alright, and then you have to hang on to that because that would carry over to somewhere else. The practice, from what I would understand now, is more show more, say less. So that's why you get a lot more panels in comics these days that have barely any words. The idea is you're supposed to interpret what is going on in the panel. it came down to basically more of as comic books came up against more competition. I think the Hellblazers were the 80s, 90s, 2000s. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But they had a more text-rich setting. And like I said, it's the common thought process now is show more in the panels, so that means less room for more words. And like I was going to say, as comic books had more competition coming up against it, people like now have less time to read or look at things, and the attention spans of a lot of people has changed for better or worse. So it's easier just to flash a bunch of pictures in front of somebody than it is to get that person to sit down and read, say, 1,000 words on a comic book page. I know that's probably overshooting the mark hugely, but you get the general idea.
Burning the one thing I haven't got. Time.
Like I said, it's they're very long rants, but yeah, I used to collect comics all the time. If I buy comics now, I try to tend to go to the more obscure and unique stuff I couldn't have probably got when I was younger, not because of the content in them or whatever, but basically where I grew up, I didn't have a dedicated comic book store, right? So the way I would get comics was that you had to be lucky enough that the issue was in your local newsagents. People, if you don't know what a newsagent is, it's sort of like a magazine shop or something like that, but just not dedicated to one subject. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in there, and you can get your newspaper, of course. But yeah, you really had to be on time every month. I think it was like the first Thursday of every month the new issues would be in, if I was lucky enough for them to be in that newsagents. They didn't always get them, but I sort of was able to get onto a sort of a pattern of finding them. Yeah, that's a trip down memory lane for me, because I used to get The Punisher, Spider-Man, and the Simpsons comics. Now, I know two of them, or one of them is still around, which is Spider-Man comics. Spider-Man will never go out of print. But I don't know if they ever do the Simpsons comics anymore. Like, I remember getting I wouldn't say a thick issue, but it was a good maybe 100 pages or something like that. You know? 100 pages or something like that. It had Homer on the front with a big giant donut. I think I'm remembering this wrong, but it was something like that. Right, so that was a good read for a while there. I even remember going into the city when I was I'd probably be about 13. No, I was younger than that. I was still in grade school. So year 7, what was it? 12. Yeah, I was probably 12 years old when I went into the city. Ended up picking up this like Bart Simpson handbook. I think it's probably called something entirely different, but it was like his view on school and how to detect an alien, and they had Principal Skinner and all that kind of stuff in it. It was back when I used to watch The Simpsons a lot. as I got older and because not having cable TV and stuff like that, there was a lot of reruns in that. Unfortunately, I don't know, soured the taste for me. So I haven't watched Simpsons in ages. I know I should go back and revisit sort of like season 2 to 5 again. It's like hailed as their best seasons. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. I'm assuming I missed a spell somewhere along the lines. And now I'm just randomly punching buttons. Because I don't think you guys wanted to sit there and watch me do that for another hour or so. Yeah, I'm sorry I went on this whole walk down nostalgia memory lane thing. It's funny how certain things just trigger thought process. I've probably talked about it in another video. I wouldn't be able to hit the nail on the head now, but I remember being way younger. I think it was like, maybe I was 10. No, it'd have to be younger than that. 8, maybe. When the Notorious Weed episode was going to be shown. 8:30 at night on Channel 10. Oh boy, that was a fight with the parents to get me to watch it. Nah, you have to be in bed by then. You got school tomorrow. I eventually watched it. My parents made the mistake of giving me a TV, so I watched it in my room with the sound very quiet, to the point where I think I heard my breathing more than actually the show. But it's like you revisit that episode now and you sort of shrug at it, but it was a huge news back then for a show to touch on something like that, especially I guess you would call Simpsons a kid-oriented show, even though there's a lot of, especially in earlier seasons, of like the adult jokes and stuff like that, just go over your head as a kid, but when you get older, it hits the nail on the head for you and just gives you that extra depth of laughter. So talking about this stuff is sort of setting off memories. It's really weird. I know this is probably not what you want to hear when you're watching me play this game, but when you think about these things, it's really cool.
Jack of asses.
Constantine, been gone so long. You must have some exquisite artifacts or tempting relics for Papa.
You in the market for a dead half-angel?
So someone closed the book on Thomas El Rio. This all adds up to a bad moon arising, John. Papa would make himself scarce.
Not helpful, Midnight. Beeman's got a problem. He can't decode the Naissance du Demoniac. I need to know what it says.
Always after something. What's in it for me?
I'll forgive your previous debt.
Constantine forgives? The world has gone mad.
You done?
Papa agrees. You'll need the lexicon to translate the book. It's kept inside Hell's Museum. Looks like you're headed south again, John.
Yeah. Shame they don't offer frequent flyer miles.
I hear you've been taking my name in vain, Johnny boy.
Balthasar. Why'd you kill El Ryu?
Direct, blunt, oh so human. But no, instead, let's talk about you, Constantine. Word is, you're on your way down. Fresh meat.
Neutral ground. You both know the rules.
You gotta work on your clientele, Midnight. Garbage like this gives demons a bad name.
You know, when the time comes, and it is coming, Constantine, I've got dibs on your oysters.
Why? Missing a pair of your own?
Yeah, and for the most part, I think, like I said, it's weird to talk about certain things that just set off memories, like nostalgia. You've probably got them too. It's like the smallest things that you can think about. It's weird, with my life, I can sort of sum them up in like certain tracks of music. Not like I can go, this song meant this part of my life and it's everything on point, but like if I'm listening to a certain album in my life and something life changing, don't matter how small it is, be it moving to a new house,
Collecting souls just isn't enough for the Dark Master.
or I
No,
achieved
he's gotta have
something
a
or
trophy
whatever.
room as well.
If I'm listening to a
Of course,
certain
the
album
entrance
on that
fees into his
time
museum are
on
steep.
loop, now it's very rare for me to listen to an album on loop. I usually jump. Like I'll listen to, if it's a favorite band or artist I like, I'll listen to it all the way through once, and then I'll go through again picking out my favorite songs, and I usually just tend to stick to them. But if I listen to a whole album through and through, that means, for me anyway, it's a brilliant album. It really.
That's where the lexicon is kept.
And so if I have that sort of
The
thing, if
doors to
something
it are
happens in
locked
my
by
life at that
powerful black
time,
magic.
I can really, if I listen
Need
to that
find the
album
seals
now,
of
I
the
can sort of
unholy
remember
trinity
that
to
time in my
remove the magic
life.
from the door and enter.
It's really odd.
They'll be here somewhere.
So we're off to get some translating paper for the book we pulled out of the last episode. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name because I'll butcher it through and through. Yeah, it's I have to smile sometimes when I play this game because just revisiting old games too is very, well, of course there'll be nostalgic, right, but some people I know can actually go, I remember I played this game on Christmas XXX and I was so years old, I was over the moon with it, sort of thing. It's like, for me it's like, not this game not this game particularly, because I never played it back in the day when it was first released. I always saw it on the video shelves but never borrowed it, because I sort of had this like, no, I must not play movie tie-in games, they're shite. Which, let's be honest, for a movie tie-in game so far, Constantine is good. Like, granted, if it was a dedicated game to Constantine, it'd be a different situation. But as a movie tie-in game and falling under that genre, it's good. And that's a very rare thing to find. Like, I wouldn't even call, like, Alien Isolation a movie tie-in game, because it wasn't even based on a movie. It takes place in the lore of Alien, but never an actual movie was tied to it.
This is the seal of Lucifer.
If that makes sense.
One of the three
like
I need to reach the
Constantine, we're
lexicon.
playing Constantine with a Keanu Reeves lookalike. The film came out at the same time, you know. It's sort of like the Green Lantern, the Iron Man movies and stuff like that have tie-in games. Like I said, always made a point of, nah, not going to happen sort of thing. And I gotta admit, I kind of regret. No, I don't regret it. I have nothing to regret. I regret nothing. And the words of the famous postal dude. No, missing this and going back and playing it, I think if I did that as a kid, I would hate this through and through. I wouldn't put the time into it. But now that I'm playing it again and sort of putting a little time into it here and there, it's starting to shape up, which is good, because there's a lot of movie tie-in games out there that just ruin the movie for you. The funny thing about this though is the way they've written the game so far, right? You could almost see it as a Hellblazer story. It probably wouldn't be how it is one of the best Hellblazer stories, but it would be a Hellblazer story. They've extended it nicely. They've sort of hit the points here and there, but they haven't gone. They haven't strayed far from the movie, but they've extended on the movie to the point, like I said, you could almost see it as a Hellblazer comic. That may be giving it too much credit, but let's be honest here, a lot of the Hellblazer stories, right? Well, this goes for any comic book series, really. There's going to be some shit stories along the way, so this would be probably like on the level of Frank Castle dying and going to the gates of heaven, and them giving him angel Uzis to rain hell on earth in the name of God. Yeah, that actually happened. Search that up. The Punisher with angel guns. Yeah, that happened. It'd be up there. It'd be memorable, and depending on the hands of who read it, it could have been a really good story. But that's my opinion on it. Like,
One down, two to go.
I'd love to see a revisit to the world of Hellblazer in video game form. It's like when you look at Supernatural, you'd think that would be a good video game too, wouldn't you? The idea that you could almost see that as like an episode. I know it's based. Supernatural was a TV show, but like if Telltale Games were still around and they didn't botch themselves, that's a whole other story in itself. You could almost see like a Telltale's game based on the Supernatural series, making decisions, sort of investigating crimes, well, not crime scenes, but crime scenes in general, but yeah, you know what I mean, and fighting off the evil in the end. That could be almost as good as that. I know one game I would have loved to get my hands on it. You can find footage of it on YouTube still, and that was the Sons of Anarchy video game. There was talk about a video game, and I think there was a mobile game even made for it, but I don't think they ever finished it, or they did, and then after a little while it was pulled. That was the mobile game, not the physical game. There was talk of a physical game coming out. This was at the height of maybe season 7 of Sons of Anarchy. But yeah, I was kind of psyched for it. I was a huge fan of the Sons of Anarchy, and so to hear that there was going to be like a open world, I think they described it as open world, and you've got to be part of the Redwood Originals and all that. I was generally excited, and I think the closest to a bikie gang game are one of two. You've got the Lost and Damned GTA 4 expansion pack sort of thing,
Jen, I'm sorry.
right? And then you've got what was that other one? Retribution, I think it was. Oh, it's notorious for being utter shit, and I can't think of it. That is disturbing to me. Yeah, they're the only two real dedicated bikie gang games, which is a bit of a bummer because I think you could probably get away with probably like an open world sort of game that would benefit for that sort of stuff. I guess it eventually fall in that whole market of being a GTA clone, but at the moment with Rockstar making so much money on GTA Online, it's like I'd prefer a clone, you know? I know there's news floating around for a 5th Saints Row game, and then you got news about one of their head guys from Rockstar, or was at Rockstar at one stage, left after not Dan Houser, I think it was Dan Houser. Yeah, Dan Houser left Rockstar. By the sounds of his press release, he was basically burnt out and just wanted to go, which is fair enough. I can't remember the guy's name, and I should, because he's like the superhero that comes in and fixes up Rockstar's games when they got off the track. And he's opened his own video game company, and he's definitely targeting that Rockstar open world market of Grand Theft Auto. Can't remember his game, but he ended up getting funding for it. I wish I remember, but yeah, he ended up getting funding for it, and now he's in full swing. It's sort of like going to take place in like South America or something like that, or his version of America. I know that GTA 6 is supposed to spread off into South America, but let's be honest, it's not going to be that great. Rockstar's game writing is always top notch, but one name that always helped with the writing was Dan Houser. Yeah, Ride to... It's just come to me now. It's Ride to Hell Retribution. That's it.
The seal of Satan. The question is, how do I get out?
Yeah. Oh, with my ramblings, I eventually got it. But I'm not... GTA 6 is going to be... it's going to have a lot of competition. I think that for the most part, people are going to want to see more GTA Online content, which is fair enough. I hate to say it, but I think that's where the future of the franchise is going to go. It is going to be online. It'll eventually turn into an MMO, like World of Warcraft, where you pay a monthly subscription to play, and that'll be, you could say that was the final downfall of not Rockstar, but GTA. Considering like look at it, how many times have they like pumped out GTA 5? There's new consoles on the market. This would be the time for them to make GTA Online a solo project. Like, you don't need GTA 5 anymore. Just download just buy the online section of it for so much money, and then move on with your life, sort of thing. And then focus on
That's it.
making 6 a solo experience. Like, focus more into that.
That
But
just leaves one
I'm
more
not a part of
scene.
the game development team or anything like that, so I don't know. But that would be something I would plan. It's like, instead of pumping it out again, people like, if and when I get one of those new consoles, once restock happens, one of the games I'm not going to be buying for it is GTA 5. I've already got it on the PlayStation 3. I've rebought it on the PlayStation 4. You know, you're not adding anything new to it that would interest me. Yeah, so like I said, once again, I've just gone on one of another of my big rants. And as I mentioned before, there's Saints Row 5 content. Well, not content, but news, like, it may be happening.
Just the seal of the devil left to get.
Maybe. I hope so. 4 was a misfire. Get Out of Hell was... It was nice to play as Gat, but I think a lot of fans would agree, it wasn't where we wanted to play him. You know, it's like we want to run around Steelport or Stillwater or something like that as Gat, not in Hell. Once again, you shrug your shoulders. It's like when you found out, like, not GTA, but Saints Row 4 was like, it looked and felt like DLC when you played it, and I think it had been all but confirmed that Saints Row 4 was going to be it was going to be DLC for 3, but due to THQ eventually just folding their books, they had to rush it out as a full product to hopefully recoup some loss, which is a bit of a shame, really. Like I said, 4 wasn't that great. And then they had I don't think it sold well. From what I remember, the release of Agents of Mayhem was nothing at all. It sort of was there, then it wasn't. I ended up buying it extremely cheap on sale on the PlayStation Network. And after playing, I eventually finished it. I had to see the ending of it. But when I booted it up for the first time, I think I spent a couple hours in it, and you instantly realize that they're sort of out of tricks.
That's the final piece.
Which is kind of sad, really. The whole idea that the Saints now are good guys.
I needed to put something heavy in the circle.
Well, they are good guys for the most part in the story. I say for the most part, but that's wrong. And they wanted the people... Well, I say Saints because even though they don't mention them in Agents of Mayhem, you got Gat involved, and I think it's at the end of Gat Out of Hell, he makes a wish that to the devil or something like that to change everything, and have the Saints as the good guys for once. So yeah, that's what my understanding of it was. Talking about the game here, Constantine, this is a moving puzzle game. Well, this section anyway. Yeah, there's not much to say about here. I've gone on so many rants today. If you're still here and you're listening to me, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening to somebody just rant about anything. Like, if you want to be a part of the conversation, so leave a comment down in the comment section. I'd love to hear what your nostalgic thing is, be video games, music, movies, whatever. Your views on potential future of gaming, if it isn't ruined. I remember when the Ballad of Gay Tony and The Lost and Damned were announced as Xbox exclusives. I even got the double game disc unit for the Xbox. It came out, I think the DLC had been out digitally for a while. It was a good chunk of time before they came out on disc, and my copy of it to this day still has that little stamp of only on Xbox, because eventually it did come to the PS3 after a lot of people kicked and screamed. I understand you're losing out, so you want to put it out on the other console too. But I think it was like a very timed exclusive thing. Maybe, I'm not too sure. I don't have many games like that on the Xbox or PS3 that has the exclusive mark on it. If anything in the last few generations of consoles has taught anything to me as a gamer, is that the idea of exclusivity for a console, like the sole reason you have to buy that console for Christmas, or get that console for Christmas, is sort of dying out now. The playing field's going to change a little bit now that
It's free.
Microsoft now owns Bethesda. I can't remember if they own their parent company either. I don't know if their parent company was a part of the deal. But they do own Bethesda and all the subsidiaries that Bethesda owns. So you got id Software and Tango, GameWorks, and stuff like that.
Better hurry. There'll be more where they came from.
And they own all that, so that falls all under Microsoft now. So whatever Bethesda does now, be it them or one of their subsidiaries, it'll be an Xbox exclusive. Unless, well, they said in their press release they will go case by case basis. So in other words, they may have a game that'll eventually go across consoles and all that. I'm not even going to mention PC because now the Xbox and PlayStation, or Sony in general, are branching out into the PC. Xbox did it first with their Game Pass, and now Sony's getting into it. So PC will eventually be able to use, the Epic Store, Steam, GOG, Itch.io Game Jolt, Xbox, the Xbox Store, and then eventually the PlayStation Store. So in the long run, they're catered for through and through, right? And almost when you look at it that way, it's like, well, I might as well just be on PC then. Just use a PC, and for a good point that you should be. I'm not going to say PC Master Race because you're not. But for the most part, it does have a very viable thing to potentially own a high-end PC to play your games on. But I'll forever be a console gamer. It's what I grew up on. It's what I'll do. And to put it simply, the reason why I've always been a console gamer and not a PC gamer is I think it's gotten better now in the PC realm. I could be wrong, but for me, in general, it's you put the disc in the drive, it installs the game, you play the game, you enjoy the game. You don't have to worry about drivers, you don't have to worry about the graphics card working, if you have the right sound card.
What do you want?
I need your help, Constantine.
I've heard them all, twice.
When I was a child, I used to see strange things. Hallucinations, demons, angels. I have visions that they're here, among us. What happened at the station, it was like another world is invading ours.
Strip away the flesh, and you reveal the evil underneath. Okay, I'm buying it. Come in. Let's start here. You didn't have hallucinations.
Oh my God!
Beeman.
Family or friend?
Associate. No. Friend. Why didn't I see this coming?
I'll call for,
Damn, they took it.
Took what?
One they have, one they want.
What are you talking about?
They took the spearhead. That they have. And what they want is you. Your tattoo. It's the seal of Mammon.
Mammon?
You know Jesus Christ. This guy? He's the exact opposite.
The son of Satan? On Earth?
Not yet, but he's coming. Here it is. Signs will appear before Mammon crosses over to rule the world. Demons entering Earth, the sacrifice of God, and the mark of Mammon will declare the portal. The mark. That's why demons are after you. You're a medium, born with the balance.
No. The last thing I have right now is balance. Your friend left a note.
Yeah, so like I was going to say, I know I'm probably annoying a lot of PC owners out there. And like I said, I think the market has gotten a little bit better. Depending on the game and the developer. Sometimes developers will... Your biggest...
Let's see what Beeman had to say.
John, I guess we all pay for our sins in the end. You know me. I'd always hold something back for that rainy day. Well, the mother of all storms is coming, so you're going to need all the help you can get. Hidden in the loft of this building, I placed one of the most powerful incantations I ever came across. The gargoyle spell will stop any demon stone cold in its tracks. Get to it, John, before they do. I'll see you on the other side.
It was nice of Beeman to leave that for us. Let's go find us a spell. So yeah, I was going to say that most graphic cards now, you can probably find a decent mid-range gaming tower that'll handle the majority of games. There's still a little off from a universal setting, but this is my understanding of it anyway. Please, if I am wrong in any of this, please correct me. I love to learn how the PC world is adapting to essentially console gaming stepping on their turf, really. But yeah, like I said, it's as these two brands, Microsoft and with Xbox and Sony with PlayStation, are branching off into the PC realm. Eventually, everything just sort of culminates together. Like I said, being a PC gamer right now would probably be the best of the three options. But if you can't, there's nothing really to entice you to buy one or other. There may be one game or two, but it's amazing to see now that, like I said, with Microsoft now owning Bethesda, that the idea of exclusivity may come back, like with vengeance, which could be a good thing or a very bad thing. It depends on how Xbox and Microsoft with Sony and PlayStation are going to handle this. I think eventually both studios will have lines drawn, and there will be no such thing as a third-party developer anymore unless you're in the independent area of development. Eventually, it's not going to happen overnight, but eventually it's going to happen because it's just the way it's going to go. You want gaming, like, alright, look at it this way, right? So Insomniac Games made what was it? Sunset Overdrive for the Xbox 360, Xbox One when it first launched. It got well received, but it was an exclusive game. This is how this company had worked. They would bounce back and forth between the two consoles and sometimes PC, doing exclusives, not doing wide range of games like across all consoles. I don't know if they've ever done it really, but I'm assuming that when you're a gaming company and you have to make a game for Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation and PC, apart from the money that it would suck up, you get problems across the board, and it's sometimes not viable as a company. So you end up getting companies like Insomniac who do exclusives. They get a deal with a gaming company like Microsoft or Sony and do exclusive. So to wrap this all the way back around again, they ended up doing Sunset Overdrive, which did alright. The Xbox One suffered immensely with its sales compared to the PlayStation 4. PlayStation 4 blew it out of the market very quickly, very fast because of exclusives, and I'll put it this way, Sony played their hand extremely well when it came to PlayStation 4. And I think they had it, to a degree, that they thought they had it in the bag with the PlayStation 5. Again, because they ended up buying Insomniac, who did the Spider-Man game for them. So they ended up buying that studio. So Insomniac are now under Sony's banner. So there'll be no more jumping from console to console anymore. It'll be strictly Sony now for their development, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. It remains to be seen. But within, like I said, I think Sony thought they had it in the bag with the PlayStation 5. Like they were going to ride off the ride on the excess of PlayStation 4. People are going to get 5, and they're just going to keep on going. There's a lot of other issues behind the scenes. You can follow that news if you want, but I'm just looking at it as a face value at the moment. So that was all good until Microsoft made the shocking news of them saying they had acquired Bethesda and their subsidiaries. In a split second, I think Sony realized they didn't have it sewn up anymore. And if you look at it business-wise, that was probably the best business move that Microsoft could have done to square up the Xbox and make sure people would buy that, because then now you got Elder Scrolls and you got Fallout and you've got the likes of Tango, like I said, probably Evil Within 3, Deathloop, all these sort of games that fell under their banner. Doom's going to be a big one. Like they said, they're going to take it case by case, but Doom's going to be a big one. That would be, if they do Doom 3, right, I'm telling you now, that's going to be a strictly an Xbox exclusive, Xbox PC exclusive. You're not going to see that anywhere near Sony's console whatsoever. That's how I think it'll go down with that game. I don't know, but it's like if you've got a big draw card, you're going to use it. So to me, they put the stops on Sony, and unfortunately Sony didn't have any big draw cards. Some of the bigger games for the PlayStation 5 were swallowed up in that Bethesda deal. So it hurts as a long-time Sony fan or PlayStation fan. Prefer the PlayStation over the Xbox, but as a lifetime fan of them, it hurts to know that when you look at the lineup this year and the games that are going to maybe be rolled out next year, there's nothing that stands out to me, unfortunately. Unless PlayStation or Sony pulls an ace out of their hat, I think they're going to really struggle with this console generation. Like I know there for a while there, I think it was neither during or after the Bethesda deal. There were rumors floating around online of Sony thinking of buying Take-Two. Now that would be a big thing because now hold on.
Glory, glory, hallelujah, his truth is marching.
Truth is in the eye of the beholder, but then you can sell anything if you set it to the right beat, huh? This is a bad time for me. Let's do the angelic visitations another time.
Beeman's stash can wait. I'm here to give you some advice.
Really? Involving yourself directly in the affairs of the ant farm. Something's got your wings in a knot.
Someone on the other side isn't playing by the rules.
Is that what your whole industry is about? Forgiving rule breakers? I know about Mammon. Anything else?
This is a serious situation, which requires drastic measures. Everyone is not who they seem, John.
Since when hasn't that been true?
So as I was going to say, if you know anything about your gaming companies, if Sony bought Take-Two, they would get all the 2K games, they'd get Rockstar games.
Mr. Reed, director
That
of
would
the
be
Superior Clothing Company. I am sorry, but I cannot reach the phone at this moment.
a very big
He's
move.
coming, John. Mammon's coming. And we got Angela. We got Angela!
So please leave a message after the tone.
Can you imagine what that would be like? Like, they'd get, like I said, all the sports games under the 2K banner. Boy, oh boy, that would really mess with some Xbox players out there. It'd be like, I could see it marketed though. It's like, you want to play the latest sports games, you've got to come here. But like, big news is like MLB. I think it's like 2022. The new one that's coming out is going to be released on Xbox Game Pass, which is huge news because it's always been a PlayStation exclusive. So maybe Sony might realize that I don't know the company that makes the game, but maybe the company has decided to branch out or something, because that's another blow to Sony, really. Unless Sony's getting a cut of it, then, well, another revenue, isn't it? No, I know for the longest time I know one of the main things online at the moment is cross console play, so like people on PC can play against people on console and so forth, right? So I remember, I don't know, I think they only said on certain games, I'm not too sure on what games, but they did go ahead and say that they would be cross-play available. Sony was really stuck to their guns on that one for a very long time until they just folded. I think it's because for the most part they've got to share server space with like they didn't want to be touched by the PC or the Xbox users. Like PlayStation's its own ecosystem, but then they realized that you're not making any friends that way. Yeah, I've gone on a huge rant on this video, so yeah, you can ignore this video if you want, or mute me, whatever. But yeah. Yeah, I'm just staying a little quiet now, just letting the voice rest. Like I said, it's yeah, I've just gone on a huge rant. Nothing really getting off my chest. It's just started off with the nostalgia talk and then going into the console generations, and yeah. Oh yeah, there's nothing to be learned here today.
This is it, Beeman's insurance policy. But to get it, I'm gonna have to break the spell.
So just do that to get them to leave me alone.
Should have known you wouldn't make it easy for me.
Move the candles into spots, eh? Alright. That doesn't make sense. I think I'll just brute force this and just see what I can do. I think these arrows have to line up with the lines of the star. Okay, yeah, they definitely have to line up. Now it's just trying to figure out which lines they all sit on, for the most part. No, it's not gonna work. No. I really hate that. That's probably my only bugbear in this game is if you get too close to the wall, it goes into a first-person view, and it's like, don't need that. Just turn the camera around. Right, that one looks like it lines up. That one's not gonna work. Where would that sit? Yeah, I'm sorry I'm gone quiet all of a sudden. I'm just trying to figure out this puzzle. Right. I'm assuming it kind of stems from, like, you can't all have them in the same line, maybe? Oh no, you can. That's good. That would go... yeah, in there. That's a red spot already, so we'd have to go one up. Put that there. Where do you go? That's the only one that's got me baffled. I'm just going to check my notes to see if there's any clues on what I'm supposed to be doing. No, it doesn't really tell you anything with the phone. with the phone filter, do they? This is actually a puzzle I've come across in this that's actually baffled me a little bit. I know there's probably something out there that instantly saw the... It's like those sliding box puzzles you can get sometimes. Some people can just see the solution. Unlike me, I'm going to sit there and tear my hair out trying to figure out where everything goes. That might be the way to go then. Yes, that looks like it lines up with that. That one lines up. So this, I'm guessing we place you and that one just above there. You probably can't see where I was pointing, but you'll see in a sec. So now we can turn these demons to stone. Which Turn to Stone is a good Electric Light Orchestra song. If you ever want to listen to good music like that. I wanted to climb out of here, but guess not. I must use the new magic skill that Beeman has bestowed on us. Ow. I'll get rid of these quick, smaller ones and we'll use it on him. Yeah, it works. Nice effect.
Trying to kill me, huh? Well, get in line. Nice entrance, Gabriel. But could you kill the angelic radiance bit?
You're welcome, John.
Yeah, thanks.
Glad to be of service.
Not to appear ungrateful. But why?
Well, like our father, John, I work in strange and mysterious ways.
Oh, cut the crap.
We find ourselves in perilous times, John. All of us who are of the light. We need every resource we can muster. And you qualify.
Know about Mammon?
Oh, yes.
Angela?
Lovely girl. Dangerous to be around. But aren't they all?
How about Beeman's murder?
Mortality's a bitch. Balthazar killed Beeman. Match your suspicions?
Yeah. And your angle, Gabriel? You wouldn't tell me this unless you wanted me to go after him.
Balthazar is a very powerful half-breed who's been around for thousands of years.
So save me the trouble. Take him out yourself.
John, you know we don't work that way.
Obviously. All right, Gabriel. Spill it.
You don't have to make it sound so ugly. Manipulation comes with the wings.
I'm waiting.
An incantation called Demon Leech. Balthazar is vulnerable to its effects.
And I can find this incantation conveniently stored in Hell's Temple?
You're a gifted one, John. Godspeed.
We'll see the next cutscene to whatever's happening, and then I might call it there. You've heard me rant long enough today, so I'll let you go. Yep, okay. So with that, we've reached the end of another part on the Constantine story. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I've enjoyed it, and on to next time. Good night.